Do you try to make changes in your life, but something seems to keep getting in the way? There's one often unrecognized barrier to making change. In this video, I'm going to guide you through how therapists deal with this barrier so you can learn to recognize it in yourself and what to do when this barrier comes up for you. Hi, I'm Kira, a registered psychotherapist who helps women who are overthinkers and overachievers manage their anxiety so they can do more of what matters to them. So you've set a goal for yourself and you've made sure that the goal is actionable and attainable by watching my video on setting goals for change. Common goals for overthinkers and overachievers often look like these: to reduce the number of hours you work because you recognize you spend too much time pursuing perfection rather than excellence, to say no to requests that don't fit in your schedule or don't fit with your priorities, to give more presentations at work this year. You're determined and you try, but you just can't seem to make that change. Often, the barrier that gets in the way is what we call experiential avoidance. What does that mean? Experiential avoidance is what we do when we don't want to experience distressing feelings. A classic example is when we cover our eyes during a scary part of a movie. In real life, we avoid by trying to control situations or obsessively think about something or avoid people and events. We act in ways to avoid feeling anxiousness, shame, or vulnerability. Looking back at one of our examples, the person who overworks, they likely have difficulty tolerating the feelings that show up when they think about people negatively criticizing their work. So they keep working to perfect everything so they can avoid feeling not good enough, shame, or vulnerability. This is like standing in front of one of those tennis ball pitching machines and standing with your back to it while the balls are hitting you. When we set a goal for ourselves, sometimes we don't realize that we have to face some pretty awful feelings. Our experiential avoidance has protected us from these feelings up to this point. So when we do try to work less or put ourselves out there, we're faced with some overwhelming anxiety that we don't know how to manage. And then you nope your way right out of there. You were determined to meet your goals. You had big plans. You just didn't realize the path was going to be bumpier than you expected. So, what do? First, we accept anxiety is going to happen. Then we take action. The actions we take are to help you manage the anxiety and feelings that show up. Taking out the racket or managing the anxiety begins with unhooking yourself from the thought or feeling. We do this by noticing the thought or feeling, naming it. Oh, there's anxiety. Normalize it. Of course, I'd be feeling anxious in this situation. And then check on its workability. If I let this thought or feeling be in charge, does it bring me closer to what matters to me? Another way to push through this barrier and manage the distress that shows up with anxiety is by being really clear on why you are trying to achieve this goal. Goals driven by something that really matters to you, that you value, typically are easier to achieve. A few questions that help clarify what your values are. Where does my anxiety show up? What do I overthink about? What do I put a lot of energy into achieving? The answers to these questions typically point to what matters to us. We wouldn't feel anxious about it if there wasn't something important in it for us. Once you've clarified the why, ask yourself, what will I be doing differently once I've made this change in my life? Really visualize how you'll be treating yourself and others, how you'll be moving around your world in a different way, what you'll start doing, what you'll stop doing. We can use this too when we start to feel anxious when we're trying to push through that barrier to achieve our goals. If you're curious about how much you tend to avoid uncomfortable feelings, check out the link to the questionnaire below that is used by therapists. I hope you found something of value here and learned more about how to achieve your New Year's resolutions as an overthinker and overachiever. Good luck.